Quadeca. I didn't mean to haunt you. I'm not too familiar with Quadeca's music, but I've seen him on Hive Mind, which is a YouTube channel I love. He's a regular guest on there. And I think I've heard something from him years ago. And I know it wasn't something that I was fond of, but I've heard a little bit of this album, and it seems like a huge progression from what he's done in the past. So yeah, I am excited to see what he's doing now, and I'd like to witness the progression from here onwards. So I will be reacting to the movie. It's the first reaction where I will have visuals on the screen. But yeah, let's get into it. Let me put my camera. So this is scuffed, but hey, the more scuffed, the better. You know what? Hold on. Oh, that might be kind of scuffed actually. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. We are doing some DIY. This might be the worst idea in history. And just like that, we have the lyrics. Okay. I'm gonna restart this. Okay. Very scuffed setup. But it's okay. I was loving the instruments though. Also, yeah, I want to check if it was self-produced. Okay, it is self-produced. I feel like I'm gonna be super impressed. Turn up a little bit.
Come to think about it, it's all in my head. Fuel tank blink, it's been running in the red. Praying for a green light, we can stay ahead.
Okay. I love how that was like a grand entrance and then it just changed the beat. Where did he film this as well? This looks amazing. Ooh, hold on. Sorry to pause. But passing through these walls, I used to call a home. I left my body lying on a doormat. I did hear that this is in the perspective of a ghost. So this would make a lot of sense. And that is a really cool concept. I love that. If that's true. I'm sure we'll find out. But this line suggests it for sure. Oh, let's keep going. You know what? I had a vision for an album I wanted to self-produce, and the video was actually very similar to this idea. Being surrounded by nature kind of thing, with a bunch of nice angles and like open space in nature, but also in forests and stuff like that. Is that the depiction of a ghost? Them 808s are going crazy. Also, it's good to have the Genius here because it will help me to edit and edit in the timestamps in the description. Also, I want to have Spotify open so I can add each song to playlists and give them a like or whatever. Oh yeah, I do have Don't Mind Me liked, because I heard a little bit of that and it was amazing. Yeah. Well, it says the next song talks about how lonely being a ghost feels like, so yeah. That narrative makes sense. There's going to be a lot to take in with the visuals, even though the visuals are pretty slow, which is good. So I could focus on both a little bit. Both the lyrics and the visuals. Wow. I love this shot. If that was the first track, I don't even know if we're... Okay, that must be the end of it, yep. Okay, well, first track really amazed me. I love how experimental the beat is. It's like a bunch of weird alien kind of sounds going on, and that's my kind of thing for sure. And I'm pretty sure what I've heard from him in the past did not have stuff like that. Very impressed with his production and his vocal inflections, like how it's almost like he sounds like a ghost as well. Like it's the narration of a ghost, and his voice is kind of ghostly, which is amazing. But yeah, next one, tell me a joke. Tell me a fucking joke, mate. Interesting he put his face in the video, considering the narration point of view. It do be trash.
Knock, knock, who's there? Tell me the truth. A familiar shadow that everyone knew.
Yes. That makes sense. Jesus. That did click with me. Bone dry skeleton humorous, which yeah, it says it here on the annotations, ties into the title of the track, but also your humorous bone, which refers back to bone dry skeleton. That's dope. Ooh. Oh my gosh. I love the drums and that noise boom. Boom, boom, boom. Also, does he mix and master his own stuff? Or no? I'm interested to hear like why he decided to put his face in certain points of this song, and if that has any meaning at all. Especially because this song, maybe the whole album is, but this song in particular is about him being a ghost. But then again, if it's a ghost in like figurative speech, him showing his face makes a lot of sense. I guess it does make sense, yeah. And him not being able to open that door in the video, him just standing outside another door as well, kind of being locked away to himself. Yeah, it's making sense. Looks a lot more like a ghost here, that's for sure. Wow. I love these drums, man. I love that. That was great. Tell me a joke. I love this line. All I could hear were the crickets. Funny, the joke is on me. Like when someone tells a bad joke and you just hear crickets. So it's given it seems like the mindset of an outsider, and he's just using a ghost reference as to portray the narrative more clear. That is what I'm getting from this. I'm a social experiment. Yeah, I like this line. All of the cameras were pointing away. Yeah, okay. Like everyone is looking away because of maybe he sees himself as a joke or his life as a joke. Yeah. Okay, it makes sense. It makes sense. This is like, okay, yeah, perspective of an outsider kind of thing. And he was outside of the houses that you couldn't get into. Or yeah, or maybe he struggles to make connections with other people. But he seemed like a great guy from the Hive Mind videos I've seen, so it's interesting for sure. Next is Don't Mind Me. Don't Mind Me. The title is definitely fitting. Oh, I love this scene. Oh yeah, this is the one that I've heard a bit of this one. This song actually enticed me to react to this for sure. What a shot. I feel like his music, I could close my eyes and drift off to his music. But then when those drums and the crazy stuff come in, you just wake up and just have a heart attack. Wow. There's like no snare, or the snare is repeating and it's very, very quiet. That's interesting, like not having an apparent snare in the beat. It gives a less linear feel to the song, which is very fitting actually. I feel like sitting back, laying back and just enjoying it. You hear that bass? The bass with like tremolo? Love that dirty kick. Wow, lovely dogs, but left for some air, tied to the wind, out through the vent. This just sounds like it's describing a ghost. What else that is humanoid could go through a vent? A ghost, right? So let's going back on some of these lines because I was drifting off a little bit. Yeah, I liked this line. Close the boxes up and put that shit up in the attic. So is he satisfied with people forgetting his existence? But he didn't want to go back to those closed doors. So maybe he just wants to spy. I don't know what I'm talking about, but maybe he wants to spy on his past life or whatever. But he wants those people that were in his life to forget about him. Possibly. There's the snare. See how the snare wasn't there for the whole track. Love that line. A coma and some anesthesia, somewhere in between. That gives a very clear perspective of where his head is at. Closed eyes in a dream. This is probably a very dark thought, but can you imagine how how emotional this album would be for his loved ones after he's passed away? You know, God forbid. But, I mean, it's the perspective of a ghost, so... Wait, I've listened to something that was a perspective of a ghost before, but I can't remember what it was. But I think I had the same thought. Like, when their loved ones listen to it, after they've passed, it's going to be, you know, pretty emotional. I love this scene. Oh, this is actually what I mentioned earlier. What I wanted to film for my own music or whatever was gonna be just a bunch of forest stuff. Like this scenery, I love. I could just sit there forever like he is. I love stuff like that. Is that the moon? I think that was the end of the song. But yeah, I've heard a bit of that song, maybe even the full... No, I heard a bit of that song before when it came out. But, I mean, yeah, it was amazing. His production has really surprised me. And you see his previous albums? Does he have previous albums? Or is it just singles that he released? Yeah, holy shit. He has albums. Does he produce all his albums? And is this your favorite Quadeca album so far? Let me know, let me know. But yeah, that track was insanely good. And now into picking up hands. Got some guitar. Does he play the guitar? So many annotations on here already. That's a cool look. I don't know if you guys play games, but this gives a Dark Souls, well, From Software overall kind of feel. You know, like those armor sets in Dark Souls where you have that cloak with the hood. That's sick. That's such a cool shot there with a blurred background and a dog there behind him. Like he's ready to just, I don't know, like he's about to do a Naruto run or something. Wait. Okay.
I looked up and down, didn't want to make a sound. I was so far away, I don't want to go another day. Dog runs away from the cat. I was staring at the stage to my
What a cool line.
I gave all time to you. I was trying to figure out the basics.
And this. I like how it's a very clear narrative here. Like everything points towards the same narrative kind of thing. So it's very easy to understand. And his the way he's feeling about himself is conveying very well. With lines like, I've been trying to get these feelings out inside. I'm paralyzed. I can't do it. How I used to climb. Gravity been getting used to my weight. How I used to climb. So maybe it is a rebirth. Okay, maybe it is kind of stuck between two narratives that will be more clear as we go along, I'm sure. But one narrative he could be distinguishing is that he's killed off his past life and he's reborn, or he just feels dead. So one is kind of positive and one is kind of negative. So I'm going to go with the negative one because of how emotional he's portraying us. So maybe he just feels kind of dead and he wants to forget about everything, including his past. But we'll see if there's anything that suggests the future for him. I don't think he's mentioned the future once, but he's mentioned the past. That is often a pessimistic way of looking at stuff, and that's maybe why he's in this state. If he's dwelling on the past, trying to open doors as a ghost. So yes, it's interesting. Wow. It's like the kick was stacked with a guitar strum. Oh wow. I love the distortion. Oh wow, look at that line. Made a mark through the dust on the floor.
Universal Consolation Prize.
Oops.
Thanks for playing. This is what the game was, Unspoken agreements that make perfect sense until you say them out loud.
I actually resonate with this, or a few years ago, I would have resonated with this a lot. Let me just read the annotations. He is as lost as he was when he was living. This is a super interesting perspective. I'm really enjoying it. I wonder if he would consider himself nihilistic. There's some things I want to go into about this, but I mean, I don't know how deep he's going with this, or I don't want to sound like I'm just going off track. It could be just unrelated. I get his point of view though, for sure. Okay. That was a great track as well. I love the guitar. It's kind of like a dreamy guitar. Ooh, this is the lead single, Born Yesterday. Wait, this came out September 19th. Okay. It has a music video, but I'm not gonna watch that. I wonder if you used the same footage. Okay, anyways. This is Born Yesterday. It's a nice cassette player. That feedback noise sounds sick. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this again, of course, because there's a lot going on with the movie, the lyrics, and the instruments and everything. I love those digital sounds going on in the background with a clap for the snare. I like that a lot. Wait. Hold on. He popped a vein? What does that mean? Oh wait, I think I get it. Until I forgot how to breathe, I popped a vein and made a wish. So it is seen as like a suicide. But obviously it's metaphorical. But him committing suicide, could it also... Does it just mean mentally committing suicide? Or emotionally committing suicide? So interesting. I'm guessing he's talking about his mother here, I'm pretty sure. I wonder what his relationship is like with his mum. I'm just very interested. That's a nice 808. If he's cut connections with his friends from the past and his family, including his mum, then this would make perfect sense, right? There's a line that stood out to me. This one. I've been trying to unsee how you moved on from me. So post mortem, he's seeing the people his loved ones or people he used to love, how they've moved on and accepted his death, right? But yeah, that would make perfect sense metaphorically if he's cut off connections with his family. Also, this shot is really good. It's almost like he's on a different planet. I can see how this is the lead single for the album. I can imagine everyone shouting this at a concert. I love how grand all the instruments and his voice get right now. Like a climax. See, he's knocking on another door there. Sorry, this line is really sticking out to me. And I'd be free if I just saved the dates. This ties in with that narrative really well. Like, this is how you could lose connections with people by missing dates. Interesting. Okay, these 4 lines really highlight his this whole perspective. So he's saying he'd be free if he saved the date. Like, he would have made it, everything would have been fine, that relationship still would have been connected. I'd be there with you right now. And that day plan should have stayed delayed because the only thing I want is out. Conflicting, but makes perfect sense and ties in with the whole album so far. Also, I'm listening to this super loud, so it's really immersive right now. Plus, these are open back headphones, so it's like a full surround stage. I like the effect on his voice there. Wow, beautiful scene. But yeah, that was a great song. So this was the lead single. I could see that because the chorus is like super chanty. I could see a whole crowd shouting that. Although it's really emotional, but I can see people shouting that. And like I said before, a lot of the lines in here really highlighted the perspective for me. So I think I'm less conflicted on what I think he's talking about. I think it's clear that he's cut connections, lost connections and relationships. Maybe he's like solo dolo right now. He's just reflecting on the past after being dead, basically, metaphorically dead. Okay. Next is The Memories We Lost in Translation. It is the shortest one, but it's probably mostly instrumental. Very short verse. Wow, you know what? This may look like such a simple line, but this is super powerful with the perspective that he's having right now. So he's kind of questioning why the people he once loved or still love are like just forgetting about him. And I was laid to rest in peace, which is obviously a common term, just rest in peace. But this is very, very literal, that he was left to be in peace. And maybe that's not actually what he wanted because he's still alive. He's just dead emotionally or like through loss of connection. I was laid to rest in peace. I don't know why. It's not a simple line to me. What does it say? He is contrasting the common phrase RIP. Even though Ben is dead, he has not been able to sleep because he has been watching his mother grieving him. What? Watching his mother grieving him. It says you don't grieve. What? The annotation is wrong. Okay. Also, I don't know if that was the end of the track or not. But I'm gonna go into the next one just in case. Oh my god. Oh yeah, Danny Brown is on this album. I totally forgot about that. That's gonna be very, very, very interesting. Also, I love the album cover, by the way. It kind of gives a. It reminds me of the James Blake album, the color in anything by James Blake. It reminds me of that. Okay, now we're in House Settling, featuring Danny Brown, which is very exciting. Hold on. I was a bit distracted. Let me go through these lyrics real quick. Also, the point in time where he popped the vein, figuratively, where he died, is probably the time where he physically wanted to end it all. But now he's post-mortem emotionally, because it does feel like a post-mortem when you're so close to committing suicide and you decide not to. It's definitely a very different perspective that you gain after that. From all these lyrics, I feel like there's so much advice that I would give him. I feel like I could talk to him about a bunch of stuff. That's a very desperate calling there for his mother. Hold up, Danny. Words you see through the CO breaks my heart. Carbon monoxide. I'm in shock. If the annotations are true about him trying to kill his family, his mother, with carbon monoxide from the stove, just the thought of it is kind of bringing tears to my eyes. But I'm going to back it up a little bit so I can see Danny Brown's entrance. I love how grungy and dirty this beat is, and the vocals are very dirty. Danny actually really suits this this kind of beat. Wow. Great performance from Danny there. In this sense, it's them settling with his death after the fact, I think. Wow. I love that shot though. With the dead tree. You mentioned something about a tree in a few tracks ago. Okay, I think that was the end of that one. I mean, wow. To me, this was the most powerful one by far. So, don't know if that means it's my favorite so far, but it could be. Danny had a great performance. Also, Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia are dropping an album. I'm super excited for that. But these annotations really scared me, and I don't know if it's true. Like, this really, I had tears in my eyes reading the annotations here. And this is probably the reason why he lost connections with his family, right? That's a lot, man. So it's the perspective of carbon monoxide, him being carbon monoxide. That would also make sense. Or imagine if that is true about the carbon monoxide that he caused, then, and if that ended his relationships with his family, words you see through the CO would also make sense. I mean, that one sounds more powerful to me, actually, because like his words have to get through that incident. So words you see through the CO. So his family will never look at him the same. So everything he says would be through the carbon monoxide, through that incident, that memory that they have of him. So it's instantly blocked with negativity. That is, you know how that would be insanely powerful if that is true. I just don't know if it's if the carbon monoxide itself is metaphorical or not. I don't know how I'll find out. Maybe interviews or something. But okay, next is Knots. Wow. Very industrial, experimental sounds. almost like a death metal sound in the refrain here. You know what? This gives me an injury reserve kind of feel, this track. I think his delivery and maybe also the lyrics a little bit are a bit more corny on this. It is coming off more corny than the rest of the album. So you're saying he's walking around with all this tension. I love the metal influence though. I like this flow though. Oh wow, I love this part. This part is sick. This might be the most impressive beat so far. The instrumental was very, like, just very sick. A lot going on, but it's very, I like a lot going on. Oh wow, he made tweets highlighting things that help us understand the album. It mentioned fantasy world there in that tweet. Let me just read that again. Okay, so he's saying the next track is actually before this. Like, it's a chronological story, but fantasy world, which is the next track, is a flashback in context to this. So with that in mind, into fantasy world. This one's a lot slower. He's almost whispering. It's kind of like a Elliott Smith kind of vocal inflection. I love that line. The people themselves are the dead ends.
That's the one that I've chosen.
Interesting. Wow. That's a great climax though. So he's saying his post-mortem location kind of thing is a fantasy world, and he's kind of celebrating the fact, alright? And I think the fireworks in the movie reflect that as well. Because, okay, this is great actually. He seems like he shares a very similar mindset to what I have. And I'm an optimistic nihilist, but even though these keywords and labels kind of really vague, and I don't like using labels, so it's kind of just the way I think is the way I think. But to help people understand, I can use labels that people have used in the past, you know? So he is given very nihilistic vibes, but I think this might be the first, okay, but this was a flashback, but this is the first track where he seems pretty content, or pretty, there's less negative thoughts here. So he says, that's a fantasy world, that's where I want to live. What the fuck is Sisyphus? Is that from his previous album? Yeah. So it seems with the mountain metaphor for a mountain of problems, I think, is reflecting back to, or referencing, a previous track on his last album, which I haven't heard, so, but I think I do get it. Whoa. Is that his voice? That sounds beautiful. I like how the last line was not in a rush, and he's not in a rush to end this track either. It's kind of dragging out. It almost gives the floating feel, connecting to where he said, "And I float mountains away." Oh, turned his head. It might have went into the next track, and I have no indication of knowing. Oh, okay, I don't think it has yet. Okay, wow. This one's gonna be a standout track for me from this album. It started off really slow, but when that beat comes in and the fireworks start going off, there is a sense of acceptance in this track. I think that's why I really like this one, because there is a sense of acceptance. I think that's why I really connected with this one. I think acceptance is one of the strongest traits a person can have, and that's something I've worked on a lot. So in this track, his perspective is a method of floating away, drifting off, just letting things happen. I think in his fantasy world. Yeah, I really like this track. And the next track is featuring Sunday Service Choir, which is Kanye's choir, right? Fractions of Infinity. For a second, I thought these, I forgot what they're called, but I thought these structures were duplicated, but it's just a bunch of them. I forgot what they're called. Mausoleums? Are they mausoleums? That sounds amazing. That sounds great.
Until I change what nothing is in it.
Wait, so this is referring back to his mother? Oh yeah, I don't know if when I was talking about the carbon monoxide, I'm not sure if I was saying it as if it was on purpose, but yeah. If it was by accident and that ruined his connection to his family, that would be terrible. Yeah, I don't know the full scope of it, of course, but you think it's all in your head, you might be already dead. It's funny when you think about it all again. So his mum thought that it was all in her head, but it was actually something very serious that could have killed her, right? I don't know, this is very interesting. I feel like I need a deep dive into this album in an interview or something. Let me know if there's one out there. I'll probably check after this video, but you know, it would be cool if Hive Mind did a collaboration with Quadeca like they normally do, but highlighting this album and making everything make sense. Maybe like an interview type video where Riley and Dignan ask a bunch of questions about the album, and maybe viewer submitted questions as well. That'd be sick.
Every time I hear a voice with
I want to hear him hit more high notes like this. I love the high notes.
the clock hands wave me out of place.
Wow. Okay. This line is insane. Clock hands wave me out of place. So like time is against him. Time is against him when he's with his mother or whoever he's talking about here. That's amazing.
Those words don't do you.
His voice works really well with those very ghostly high pitch notes there. Okay, there's the choir. Yeah, he's hitting them notes there. Oh wait, that wasn't him. Interesting. Even in the movie, zooming into the light could mean something, but we'll not stick onto that. That was another good track there. I was wondering if he's religious or not, which is a total total 180 from thinking he was a nihilist. But I'm not saying you have to be religious to have a choir, the Sunday service choir in your song. But I just thought it's very fitting if he's religious. So I'm just wondering if he believes in God. It's weird because this album has enlightened me a lot, and I'll look at Quadeca very different after this. But it's also confused me quite a bit. But I'm enjoying it a lot. And the last track is 8 fucking minutes long, mate. Cassini's Division. Is this his father? Hold up, man. Bullshit. 341, you came out the room and you were crying in a way that nobody could hear. I stopped kicking and screaming when you turned the lights on. You woke me up, I felt naked, I felt exposed. I felt like... Interesting. Quadeca's suicide was noticed by someone near him at the time. His death was not instant, and he finally passed once they turned the lights on in the room he was in. This person woke Quadeca up into the purgatory state he is in during this album. Okay. He feels like he was intruding on this person finding out he died and felt exposed seeing himself dead. That is... okay. That is crazy. When did this happen, do you think? Or do you know? And has he mentioned the carbon monoxide and this event in previous albums, or is this a recent thing? It's almost like a ghost in the back. And other vocals, but those sound like fairies, kind of. Very impressive that he self-produced this whole album, though, for sure. So this might be a speech for the whole track.
Let me go and don't let go of me.
What? Oh wow, that makes a lot of sense. Tying into a lot of the previous tracks, this makes a lot of sense. Let me go and don't let go of me. Maybe don't forget me. The dead person desires to be remembered after death. Yeah. So he's highlighted that in different ways throughout the album. Let me go and don't let go of me. But this is probably the best depiction of that narrative. I love this line. You see the kicks, how it's going kind of low and then higher, low and then high? That sounds like steps. It sounds like footsteps. Could signify him running away, or... And now we hear panting. That's interesting. That is... The kick sounded like running or walking away, and now we hear panting and kind of distress. Maybe I didn't notice that before, but now there was actual footsteps there. And look, that's him floating away there. Oh wait, there's still 3 minutes left. Oh, there's the static that he was talking about, I guess. I'm zoning out. Well, you see how the static is kind of brightening up? How there's light? And he said that maybe he's the light that the static needs. That he belongs in the static, but maybe he's adding something positive to it in a way. That's what it's showing right now, I think. Yeah, so I can make the void just a little brighter. Is what he said. I'm bopping my head like there's a beat, but I have found the rhythm in the static though. Now it almost sounds like water. Sounds like an ocean almost. Wow. It turned fully white at the end there. I mean, wow. Jesus. So much that I could say about this album. But first off, that last track matched the movie more than any other track, I would say, because he's making the void a bit brighter, and that was clearly shown in the movie. But yeah, overall, wow, it was way better than I thought it was going to be. I'll start off by saying that. And let me know if I should check out more of his music, or if this is a huge jump in progression from his previous albums, then maybe I wouldn't want to check out his previous stuff, but let me know. And at first, I saw this album as a really negative perspective in a way. Well, the perspective is something that a positive person can have, but it seemed like he was portraying it in a negative way. I think from Fantasy World, okay, that's only the last 3 tracks. Maybe before that, it started to seem a bit more positive, and that's because of the acceptance. And I find that really interesting, how he's accepted his metaphorical death, and he wants people to not forget about him. Though that's interesting to me. That's the part that surprises me, because I feel like most people with that perspective on life want people to forget about them. Let me go and don't let go of me. That's still such a great line to me. But yeah, I'm not gonna give it a rating on first listen because yeah, I don't know. But tell me what your favorite track is from this album, and if I missed anything, or if you can make the perspective a bit more clear on what he's trying to portray in this album, then comment below. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you didn't like it, give it a fucking dislike. And recommend me some more albums if you want. And yeah, see you in the future.